So at MYOB, we began life about over 20 years ago, and we had one big idea, and that was about making affordable tools for businesses. We're trusted by over 1.2 million businesses across Australasia, and we have solutions that go from our very smallest all the way through to some of our largest enterprises. So for today, I'm going to take you through some of our economic and tech insights from our latest Rural Business Monitor report. We'll listen to some sector leaders about their views on the importance of agri-tech in the industry. We'll also have a dive into what MYOB's up to as well from a rural-based solutions, and we'll hear about one of our coolest new developments that we believe. So, about the Business Monitor report. So we survey over 1,000 businesses. We do it every year. And the focus of the report is really about understanding the current performances of businesses, and really get a great understanding in regards to the pressures that they face as well. It's an independent survey. It's conducted by Colmar Brunton, and it's split between 4 different sort of segments. We look at businesses in our metropolitan and our city areas. We look at businesses in our regional towns and cities. We also look at rural businesses and, of course, primary industry businesses as well. So if we look into the money side of things, so it's good to know this actually aligns with what Nathan was saying. Lots of great things in terms of really buoyant in terms of looking at milk prices, kiwi prices, lamb prices, but actually from a sentiment point of view, it's quite different. So what we see is that actually our city and metropolitan businesses, if we're looking at the 2017-2018 financial year, from a revenue point of view, they absolutely outperformed our rural businesses and our primary industry businesses. What we saw is that 29% of rural businesses saw an increase, 25% of primary industries, and 36% of our larger businesses in our cities and metropolitan areas. So if we look to those that actually had a decrease, slightly less for rural businesses at 22%, the same for primary industries at 25%, and just 20% of our businesses in our metropolitan areas. So really, if we look at primary industries, it means that 50% of our businesses had a revenue stayed stable, but a quarter saw an increase, but a quarter saw a decrease as well. So let's actually look from a forecast point of view. And so if we're thinking about the 2018 and 2019 financial year, it's a similar story again. Our businesses in our cities and metropolitan areas, again, seeing more buoyant around from a forecast point of view. Rural business is slightly less, and sadly our primary industries, again, from a forecast point of view, are seeing the lowest in terms of what projections from a revenue point of view. So it really lines up with some of the other kind of key industry stats out there. For example, NZ Business Confidence Survey that talks about 43% of agricultural businesses have a negative outlook in the next 12 months for the economy. And also the primary industries, the Ministry of Primary Industries, have stated that they believe that forecast earnings will slow down to 0.1% in 2019. So we look at the money side of things. Let's look at people as well. Obviously, our rural businesses and our primary industry businesses are some of our largest employers. So we've seen revenue growth constrained, and forecasts are also constrained. We know that there's some changes going around and uncertainty around legislation. Immigration is a huge area, and there's also a general lack of skilled workers as well. And so what this has mean is, what it's beginning to show is that actually hiring expectations have continued to decrease. There's only 7% of businesses, rural businesses, that are actually looking to increase their staff count. So what's actually driving this sort of negative sentiment? What we're seeing, of course, is similar to what Nathan was talking about. There's obviously some real uncertainty from a geopolitical trade point of view. We're seeing policy uncertainty with the likes from an environmental point of view, and then, of course, biosecurity as well. What we're not seeing, what's not coming out of the report is around from technology point of view, is actually technology taking over jobs. I'm sure it is absolutely something that we'll look out for, and it will certainly be an area that we'll continue to see and become more prevalent. So let's dig into some of the technology side of things. So even though this industry absolutely expect that technology is going to cause significant disruption to their industry, there's only 14% of these businesses are actually looking to invest in IT and systems in the 2018-2019 year. It's not that they're not investing. They're looking at investing. Around 29% of these businesses are actually looking investing into plant and machinery. But today we know farming is absolutely a high-tech business. Once it was traditional and conservative, but we've really seen technology really create agriculture into a real modern workplace. We've seen the likes of automation, robotics, and in places high-speed connectivity and big data have a real impact. And over the last few years, we have definitely seen this play out in our New Zealand businesses. We see, for example, robotics for cleaning silos, to the simple sharing of information across tablets, and of course drones, from the ability to manage and count livestock to being able to measure humidity in real time. This trend's absolutely, we see this trend absolutely in our report. And what we're seeing is that rural businesses state that connectivity, automation and robotics, and drones are the three biggest tech trends that are going to impact their industry in the next 10 years. It's actually in real stark contrast to what we're seeing in our cities and metropolitan areas, where businesses are seeing that the connectivity, cloud computing, and the Internet of Things are the three kind of key areas that are going to impact their industry in the next 10 years. So what it tells us is our farmers are actually doing really, really well when it comes to adopting prototypes, new systems and devices for cutting time, increasing efficiencies, and actually reducing the time to market. So really, why are these numbers are important? So at Field Days, we ran the MYOB technology panel with a few industry experts. We have Jamie Mackay interviewing our Minister for Agriculture, Damien O'Connor, CEO of Young Farmers, Terry Copeland, soon to be CEO of Federated Farmers, and MYOB's Nick Fletcher. Jamie's just about to, and hopefully we'll get this to play, Jamie's just about to ask the panel around the rural broadband rollout. And we kick off with Jamie and listen out to what he has to say. So we start at 5 minutes, 5:46.
No life for those people.
And look, and one of the things that we have to do, there's been a lot of money go to the big players and on the belief that they will roll this out. They haven't. Quite frankly, we've got to take some of that money back, give it to small, innovative players who are up and down this country using wireless mainly, but they're providing solutions for farmers. And that's what we're going to make that major shift in and open the door to innovative solutions, not just rely on the big players rolling it out when it suits them.
And actually taking that a step further too, so if you think of the potential that rural communities can do to drive new business because of technology, not just farming and primary industry, but things in general, it's going to make rural communities more vibrant and sustainable.
Yeah. Nick Fletcher, you're chomping at the bit to have a say.
I'm just thinking about it. I think one of the things that's becoming important in all industries, but certainly in farming, is the use of data. You know, it's kind of like daylight. You know, at the end of the day, you need daylight to grow grass. Now, data's not going to help you grow grass, but it's going to help farmers be more effective. It's going to help them build capability. It's going to help them understand what they're doing in their business and how to be better at doing it. And I think that's going to be really important.
I think, though, that farmers need to know how to apply that. And look, they're pretty pragmatic. And so if you just say to them, you've got to gather all this data, they'll say, well, what for? How's it going to help us? And so I think we have to, build capability along with the data. And that's, I guess, the job of all of us to do that.
Terry Copeland, do we have a problem? And we talked about attracting our brightest and best young things into agriculture. But are we
So I think it's going to be really interesting in regards to what the government do regarding rural broadband rollout, and if they actually do get it into the hands of some of our smaller and innovative players. So from an MYOB point of view, what are we actually doing in regards to helping the rural take-up of tech? So we have a group of we have an agri advisory group where we've brought together some of the biggest and most sort of active accountants in the rural sector from across the North Island and South Island. And through a series of events and communications, we really use this as a massive feedback loop to allow us to take their insight and their learnings from them learning, working on the ground with farmers, and we build that into our product roadmaps. We're absolutely focused on giving rural businesses the next generation of tech tools, and this is really about helping them boost productivity and, of course, from a profitability point of view. And it's really important because MYOB is still the largest accounting and payroll provider for the agri-industry. So we've recently launched some new functionality that allows the tracking of on-farm quantities. So farmers now can track in terms of stock quantities, milk sold, weight of grain, and wool produced. It allows farmers to get a better understanding of performance on the farm, and it also allows them to really meet their reporting requirements as well. And of course, it lets their accountants capture that data, be able to manage GST correctly, do everything that they need to do from an IRD point of view, and best of all, it really builds that connection between accountant and farmer so that they're simultaneously sharing information. So I really just wanted to share a few words from an accounting practice and how it actually works in terms of this connectivity actually in practice. It's Danny Verk, practice MC&I Associates Principal Neil Ivami, and he says that working with his clients in the cloud allows for greater collaboration and better decision making. So if you don't mind me, let me quote this because he says it far better than I can do. So technology allows our rural clients to get more information about how their tech is tracking. From receiving instant alerts on employee payroll logs, to confirmation on the level of milk they've supplied to Fonterra, to getting instant feedback on kill weights at the freezing works, to keeping handle on cash flow. It all comes together to allow the farmer to make instant decisions on how they allocate their resources, growing profitability and productivity. And increasingly, all this is being done on farm between his or her mobile device. The other positive thing about MYOB's technology is the way it takes out the pain out of providing value-add services for more of our clients. In the past, we would spend hours analyzing data to provide deep insights, how a business is going, meaning only our biggest clients could afford the service. MYOB now gives us the ability to interrogate that data instantaneously, meaning we can provide higher value consulting services to all sizes of our clients. So the great news is by using technology, this accounting practice now isn't just providing value-add service to those clients that can actually afford it. It's going through all the way through to some of their smallest clients. So how are they actually doing this? So what are they doing is they're providing advisory services through MYOB Advisor. It's what we consider at the moment to be probably one of our coolest, newest toys. It's an integrated and really simple and easy to use advisory service which allows accountants to be able to provide that value add, but provide it at scale. And no industry is this more important than in the agricultural industry. So accountants have spent a huge amount of their time recording and processing transactions and dealing with compliance issues. It's majorly important work, but it's massively procedural and it's very repetitive as well. So at the end of last year, we ran a survey with our accountants and our bookkeepers, and 70% of them said they would offer advisory services if they had time. But the biggest thing that's stopping them is around compliance. So when it comes to procedural and repetitive work, it's absolutely ideal from an automation point of view. And we know computers are absolutely really good at this. So on the plus side of the ledger, it means from an accountant's point of view, it leaves them with the time and energy to really focus on the service of being able to provide value. And for these accountants, it's around providing guiding and providing advice to their clients. But there's two big problems they absolutely face in doing this. The first is the time it takes in regards to gaining deep insights to be able to provide this deep knowledge across a scale of clients. And two, actually, some of them actually really struggle in terms of those opening conversations about with clients about providing advice. So what happens is, from an MYOB point of view, from an MYOB advisor point of view, it allows clients and their accountants to have a huge showing of at scale in terms of the financials within their business. It uses artificial intelligence to sift through data that would just take seconds to do, when perhaps it would take an accountant hours to actually do. MYOB Advisor then prepares reports in natural language that looks like it's written by a human. So it is absolutely a classic example of AI augmenting a professional's work, and it's absolutely benefiting our rural businesses and their accountants today. So if I got time? Yeah, cool. So I just really wanted to finish off with a video, and it's one of our what's considered to be one of our rockstar clients. This is the Hayward family, who are based in the Waikato. They have won a number of awards for sustainability. They're using on-farm tech, they're using business management tools, but what I love most, very passionate about myself, is in terms of it is absolutely underpinned by sustainability. So if we just play the video.
For us, sustainability is two-pronged. We have to be environmentally sustainable and we have to be profitable as well. We've adopted the mindset in regards to regulation is look beyond what you see, so we try and predict where it's going to go, and I guess in the environmental space we've ticked that box really well.
In terms of the sustainability journey that we've undertaken here, I think it sort of stems from having a social conscience in terms of our obligations to the land and the robustness of it.
We have a close relationship with our accountants and our bank managers. They're part of our business, they help us make decisions day to day. As Merv says to us, you be the best farmer you can and I'll take care of the numbers. So that's my role, is to be the best farmer I can.
Our rural mates are just worrying about doing the job as best they can. So it's not always about the numbers for these guys, but I think increasingly so, they're looking at the numbers and making decisions based on those.
Often they've got a question as well, and they probably know the answer. They just want someone to tell them, yep, you're on the right track and that is the right answer, and it will work.
I guess for me is, I've been here on the land all my life. That's what I know, that's what I do, and I guess it's really important for me to make sure that we continue to leave this land in a better state than we found it.